Hey there, and thank you for joining me on the Retro Game Couch. You can play physical Game Boy games on your Game Boy, Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Advance SP, but you can also play them on a Nintendo DS, a Super Nintendo, a GameCube, and there is even a converter that lets you play physical Game Boy games on your N64. But those are all Nintendo systems, so it makes sense that you can play physical Game Boy games on them one way or the other. But what if I told you you can play physical Game Boy games on a PlayStation 1? In this video, we're gonna check it out. So, let's go! The sponsor of today's video is PCBWay. They not only do PCB prototyping, but also flex PCBs, CNC machining, 3D printing and much more. Ordering a PCB is simple, the minimum order quality is only 5 pieces and shipping is not only affordable, but also really fast. I use their services often and I can highly recommend PCBWay. Here is the Game Booster. This is the Game Booster plus Action Replay, so 2 in 1. It says, now play Game Boy games on your PlayStation console, and then it says again, play your old Game Boy favorites in full size on your PlayStation monitor or TV. That's the same thing, right? Simple plug and play, in contrary to very complex plug and play. Unique color palette system allows you to change regular Game Boy graphics into glorious colors. Plus, fantastic built-in game to play on your PlayStation. This presumably has a built-in Nintendo Game Boy game we haven't ever seen before. And in the box we get a manual and we get the converter. And as you can see, they couldn't be bothered making the sticker fit in this little indent. So this just screams quality. Amazing. This is where your Game Boy game goes and this is where you plug it into your PlayStation. I'm going to show that in a moment. The Game Booster only plays original Game Boy games, so no Game Boy Color games and no Game Boy Advance games. Because this adapter isn't just a Game Booster but also an Action Replay, it comes with switches on the side. The on and off switch turns the Action Replay on and off, so we'll set that to off because this video is not about the Action Replay. And the PlayStation Game Boy setting switches between playing PlayStation games or Game Boy games, so we'll set that to Game Boy. To plug this Game Boy player in your PlayStation 1, you need a PlayStation 1 that still has the parallel I/O port. So the PlayStation 1 Slim doesn't have that port, and later models of this PlayStation 1 also didn't have that parallel I/O port. So you need an older model, like the one I have here, and to install it we simply plug it into the parallel I/O port. Let's turn the PlayStation on with the adapter inserted without any game in it, and then it should launch the fantastic built-in Game Boy game. Copyright 1998, Daytel Design and Development. This product is not endorsed by Sony nor Nintendo. Rebound Mission. To get into the menu, you need to press both shoulder buttons. And then here is the menu in glorious Comic Sans. Game goes back to game. There are cheats, there's a trainer. Palette lets you change the 4 colors that Game Boy games use, so I'll show that in another game. And here we have options. And here you see options that you see in a lot of emulators, because this is of course not a Game Boy that you strap to the back of your PlayStation, this is an emulator. So we can set the screen size to normal or large. I'm going to set it to large. You can set different border types. We can switch between the 4 shades of amber of the original Game Boy. You can set your own colors with the palette option, or you can set it to black and white. We have video sync turned off. We have frame skip set to 2 because, well, then it's kind of playable, and we have a CD player, and we'll circle back to that later. So let's go back to the game. And now the game screen is a lot bigger. Rebound Mission, new game. And the object of the game is I'm the pedal on the bottom, and I can fire a ball into that funnel on top, and I need to get 4 balls in there to complete the level. If it hits anything along the way, like this bar here, it will bounce back and destroy my pedal. So let's finish the first level. A really uneventful game. But one thing you might also notice is that there is no sound. I have the sound turned on, but no sound effects. So maybe just this game doesn't have any sound. Let's insert an original Game Boy game. Let's try Tetris. It defaulted back to the smaller screen, so we need to go back to the settings, options, screen size large, game. Every time you reset the console, it forgets the settings, which is awful. And you might notice that there isn't any music playing. So here's the bad news, there is no sound and there is no music. Apparently they couldn't get that working. And I think the workaround that they made for this is hidden here in the options menu. Yeah, it's the CD player. Let's insert some music that I made in the 90s on my PC. My youngest son made the CD art, by the way. And then we go to CD player, play CD, and then we go back to the game. You can see that the emulation is really slow, by the way. If you move a block to the left, you can see that it draws it so slow that you can see it draw the block. But I think I could live with the fact that it's kind of running slow, but what is really insulting is that Tetris just hangs. Sometimes when I get to 2 lines, sometimes when I get to 10 lines. Okay, we're down to 9 lines. 1 more line. There we go. And now it hangs. This is of course inexcusable. Not only is it a slow emulator, not only does it not have music, but it just hangs with the simplest of games. Let's try another game. Here's a game that we all know and love. So this is a good reference for the speed, I guess. It works, but it's really slow. This is totally playable, but without the iconic Mario music, this really isn't Mario, right? I haven't played Mario more than the first 2 levels, so not sure if it hangs or when it hangs, but judging by how it ran Tetris, it probably will hang at some point. How about Mega Man? And sure, this seems to work, be it with the same slowdowns we get in every game. Oh my word. Look how slow it gets when it gets a little busy. Oh my word, so much slowdowns. But yeah, this is unplayable like this. Here is Alleyway, and let me demonstrate the palette option. So here are the 4 colors that the Game Boy uses. This probably isn't a good idea. Well, no. Let's make it a bit darker. Let's go with dark blue. And now you can play the game in your own color scheme, which is, I guess it's kind of cool, right? So sadly, if we press reset, our custom palette is gone and it defaults back to the smaller screen. Let's pop in Donkey Kong and I will show you one more feature that this thing can do. The adapter that lets you play Game Boy games on your Super Nintendo included a lot of borders. And as you can see, this little adapter supports these borders. First one should be doable, right? Come on, it's so slow. It's annoying. Frick. How did I do that? I don't know. Why can he jump so high? I don't know. This isn't a very faithful adaptation of the arcade game, I guess. Maybe this is what Billy Mitchell used. One of my patrons also suggested that we check out Space Invaders, because that not only contains the Game Boy game, but if you play this in a Super Game Boy adapter, it gives you the option to play the Super Nintendo version of this game. It looks like we get the arcade option, but if we start it, it sadly doesn't work. Well, I'm not surprised. I used the GB operator to turn this cartridge into Pokemon Blue, just so I didn't lie on the thumbnail. Yes, I want the fire Pokemon. Yes, yes, yes. Really energetic. There we go. My first fight. Here we go. Yay, I did a thing. So yeah, Pokemon works on your PlayStation 1. Kinda, sorta. without music, with a low frame rate. So this was a closer look at the Game Booster, an adapter that lets you play physical Game Boy games on your PlayStation 1. And that on itself is an amazing fact. I really love it. It's a quirky little thing. It doesn't do its emulation very well, and that's an understatement. The games run slow, there's no sound. Well, you've seen it. It's horrible at what it does. But the fact that it lets you play physical Game Boy games on a Sony system just amuses me. So I really love it for that fact alone. So for now, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Maybe become a patron, that helps out the channel a lot. And for now, I hope to see you next time on the Retro Game Couch.